Whisperforge Studios present The Mask That Whispers, Chapter 6, Ashlight Exodus. Kalen ran. His boots thudded against stone warped by moonfire, past husks of plants that had withered during the moonburn. His cloak billowed behind him like a shadow refusing to let go. His breath came in short, ragged bursts, every inhale scraping his throat raw. The bloom mark pulsed on his chest, its rhythm sharp and angry. Behind him, the screams had stopped, which meant the hunt had begun. System alert, ego fracture risk normalizing. Lunar contagion dissipated. Bloom mark stabilized. Shadow signature compromised. He reached the edge of the ridge, a cliffside path winding downward into the Ashlight Barrens. A broken realm where dying stars bled into the soil and reality twisted in knots of colorless flame. Kalen didn't hesitate. He leapt. Chapter 6. Landing in Silence. The ground caught him harder than expected. Pain rippled up his legs as he rolled across jagged ash and ghost glass. He came to a stop beside the fractured husk of a war beast's skeleton, taller than a house, bones fused with armor made of dreams. He pushed himself up, coughing. Everything below the ridge was quiet, too quiet. The only sound was the low, constant hum beneath the soil, a rhythm distant and unnatural, like machines breathing. Kalen scanned the horizon. Mountains shimmered like illusions. Ash swirled in gentle spirals. The sky cracked occasionally with flashes of muted light, as if lightning had forgotten how to roar. He was alone, but not for long. Chapter 6. The Bone Collectors. They came without sound, 6 of them, figures in white bone plates stitched with wires and runes, eyes glowing blue beneath horned helms. Each moved with mechanical grace, their feet not quite touching the ground. Kalen froze. The largest one spoke. Echo signature detected. Host anomaly confirmed. The voice was filtered, synthetic, with a hint of exhaustion, like a machine that had learned disappointment. Kalen raised his hand slowly. I don't want to fight. Then surrender your bloom. And the mask. Kalen's grip tightened on his knife. Can't do that. The bone collector cocked its head. Objection noted. System combat mode threat detected. Bloom mark. Partial root engagement. Ready. Veil step. Cooldown 4 seconds. Trait unlocked. Reactive thorns upon contact. The first collector moved fast. Kalen sidestepped. Veil stepped. Reappeared behind it. Slashed. But the blade met nothing. The collector phased, letting the attack pass through. Its hand shot back, catching Kalen by the throat. Pain, pressure. Kalen's bloom mark activated. Roots exploded from his skin, wrapping around the arm, injecting chaos. The collector twitched, jerked, then let go. Kalen dropped, spun, and drove his blade into a joint seam. Metal cracked. Blue fluid hissed out. The other 5 moved at once. Kalen raised his arms, and the ground answered. Vines, fire, shadow, echo. A burst of elemental backlash erupted around him. He didn't know how he called it. He only knew he wanted to live. Chapter 6. The Message. When it was done, only smoke remained. Kalen knelt in the center of the ruin, bloodied and gasping. The collectors were scattered, some dead, some retreated. His vision blurred at the edges. His mark flickered between gold and black. And then, a symbol burned itself into the air. Not his doing, not the system's. A spiral, cracked and unfinished. The sign of the spiral ministry. A voice followed, clear, crisp, and inside his skull. Kalen Vey, you are being observed. We know what you carry and what you've already become. Come to the vault, or we will come to you. Kalen collapsed. The ash swirled over him like a blanket of old memory, and the war beneath the surface began to turn. Whisperforge Studios present The Mask That Whispers. Chapter 7. The Spiral Vault. He awoke to rain. Not water. Data. Tiny glowing droplets fell from the cracked sky, each one carrying memory fragments that weren't his. He blinked through the shower, wiping strings of forgotten names and broken images from his eyes. The world had changed again. The Ashlight Barrens had faded behind him, replaced by a new realm of impossible architecture. Gravity worked sideways. Staircases looped in defiance of logic. Buildings floated, half forgotten, like pieces of thought suspended in regret. This was the Spiral Vault, a realm where memory was law, and nothing remained forgotten for long. Chapter 7. The Librarians. Kalen stood on a walkway shaped like a spinal column, twisting between towers built from memory stone. Below, vast spirals carved into the terrain flickered with scenes, past wars, lost cities, betrayals, all playing on repeat. Two beings approached, tall, robed in layered fabric stitched with scriptures, faces masked with mirrored plates that showed Kalen different versions of himself depending on the angle, one hopeful, one monstrous, one dead. "You carry eclipse resonance," one said. "You wear the bloom." "And the fracture," said the other. Kalen exhaled. "You said to come." "We did not invite," said Mirror 1. "We summoned," said Mirror 2. Their robes split at the sleeves, revealing hands made of quill pens and cables. "You are a node of divergence. Your path was severed when you claimed the mask. You may cause collapse." Kalen frowned. "So, what? You want to erase me?" "No," said Mirror 1. "We want to understand what you have already erased." They raised their arms. "Warning, Spiral Inquisition initiated. Memory anchor compromised. Ego shield holding. Bloom mark. Reactivity low. Eclipse system monitoring." Kalen fell to his knees as light pierced his skull. Ch.6-10, the spiral trial, he was back in his childhood home. Except it wasn't. The walls were made of books with no pages. The air smelled like ink and blood. The floor creaked with guilt. At the table sat his father, but not his real father. This one had eyes like Kalen's, the mark on his hand. A copy. "What do you regret most?" the figure asked. Kalen clenched his fists. "I don't know." The table vanished. He stood in a field of bodies. Shadewalkers, Echo Mutants, Lyra, Drek, all staring at him. "What have you become?" Kalen shouted. "I'm not them!" "I made my own choice." The field burst into spirals. He collapsed again, this time not screaming, but remembering. A real memory, his mother planting herbs, teaching him about roots. "Growth," she said, brushing soil from her hands, "takes time. But ruin only takes a moment." He whispered her words. The light around him softened. The vault retracted. Chapter 7. The Archives Offer. Kalen stood once more in the spiral vault. The librarians stared at him. "You retained the anchor," one said. "Unusual." "You resisted deletion," said the other. "Promising." Kalen steadied his breath. "Now what?" The librarians held out a scroll, different than the archivists, silver, bound in soft light. "This is a memory fragment." "Not yours. A map to a fracture older than the mask." Kalen hesitated. "Why give this to me?" "Because you may be the only one who can survive it." He took the scroll. It pulsed in his grip. New path unlocked. Sovereign descent. Optional divergence. Vault recognition. Echo linked. Spiral favor, 1/3. Kalen turned toward the shifting stairs. As he walked, the vault itself bent toward him, spirals folding, logic twisting, and far below, in the deepest spiral of the realm, something ancient opened its eyes. Whisperforge Studios present The Mask That Whispers. Chapter 8, Bone and Bloom. Kaelin emerged from the spiral vault into dusk, not night, just a dusk that lingered forever, never dying, never giving way to stars. This was the edge of two realms colliding, where memory bled into machine, and roots battled wires beneath the surface. He was in the Scarlands now, a place where the blooming ones had once thrived, and where the Bone Engine Guild had nearly erased them. The air here tasted of rust and damp bark. Above, black spires stood like needles jammed into a wounded planet. Below, the ground pulsed, veins of bioluminescent mycelium fighting for space with cold iron cables. It was a battlefield caught mid-breath, and Kaelin was walking its center. Chapter 8. The Camp. He stumbled upon the encampment at twilight. No banners, no torches, just quiet. A ring of bloom hybrids stood guard, figures like Lyra, though none as still or serene. Their limbs were part plant, part wound, bark shell armor, petal-shaped shields. They didn't speak, until one did. "Echo Walker," she said, stepping forward. Kaelin tensed. "You are known to the Seed." He blinked. "You know Lyra?" "I am her sister," she said. "In root, in soul." She extended a hand. Kaelin took it. "The bloom sees what you're becoming," she said, "and it fears the bone." He frowned. "Then help me stop them." She hesitated. "Only if you listen." Chapter 8. The Root Machine War. Around a table made of living wood and ossified steel, Kaelin listened. The Bone Engine Guild was advancing again, not through armies but through growth. They grafted ancient weapon systems to the land itself, infecting it like a disease. Blooming roots were dying. Song vines were falling silent. "They want to convert the bloom into a substrate," Lyra's sister said, "to make it host a neural forge." Kaelin's stomach turned. "And the seed?" "They believe it's the final node. If they capture you, they can reverse bloom." He stood. "Then we don't let that happen." The camp quieted. "You will need to go beneath," she said, "to where the first root kissed the bones of the world." "Alone?" "No," she said, and from the shadow of the trees, Lyra stepped out. Changed. Her arms were full vine now, her skin cracked with golden light. Her eyes no longer blinked. "You've grown," she said. "So have you," Kaelin whispered. She smiled. "Then let's bury some bones." Chapter 8. Descent. The tunnel into the earth screamed. It wasn't sound, it was vibration, an echo in Kaelin's bones. Lyra led the way, vines from her fingers reaching ahead like antennae. They passed rusted hulls of dead war beasts, grafted corpses, machines that pulsed with lingering thought, and at the end, a heartbeat, real, organic, the root core. It beat like a massive lung, covered in thorns and old data panels. Bloom tendrils fed into it. So did bone cables. The war raged inside the root. "We can't save it," Lyra whispered, "but we can stop them from taking it." Kaelin stepped forward, and the mask pulsed. System, hybrid territory detected. Bloom mark integration, level 2. Bone forge, protocol, interference possible. Recommendation, merge and burn. Kaelin raised his hand. He felt everything. The war, the pain, the memories, his own and the roots. He screamed and poured himself into the system. Chapter 8. The burn. He became bloom. He became fire. He became memory. The chamber erupted with light. Bone cables snapped. The thorns ignited. Kaelin felt his bloom mark etch deeper into his soul. And when it ended, He was still standing. Lyra collapsed beside him. The root pulsed once, then fell silent. The war in the Scarlands paused. Whisperforge Studios present The Mask That Whispers. Chapter 9. The Masked Ones. The root core had gone silent. Kalen stood in the stillness, breath shallow, blood singing with echo. Beside him, Lyra lay unconscious but stable, her body dimly glowing with the last remnants of shared bloom energy. The root's death had not gone unnoticed. A ripple moved through the Scarlands, silent at first, then a whisper, then a howl. The Bone Engine Guild had felt it, but so had something older. Kalen turned toward the tunnel's edge as the fog thickened unnaturally. He wasn't alone anymore. Chapter 9. Arrival. 5 figures emerged from the mist, tall, robed, every inch of them covered in black mesh armor adorned with fragments of shattered relics. Their faces were hidden behind white masks carved in grim parody. One smiled too wide, another wept blood, another held no features at all. The center figure stepped forward. His mask was split in two, half laughter, half void. "The Echo Walker," he said. Kalen's fingers twitched toward his blade. "Who are you?" The voice came through both ears and skull. "We are the Forgotten Crown." Kalen's throat tightened. The Masked Ones. Whispers of them haunted every realm. Followers of a lost sovereign, one who wore the eclipse not as a curse, but as a crown. "You interfered with the Root War," the speaker said. "You chose bloom over bone." "I chose life," Kalen said. "Life," the voice echoed, amused, a curious term for someone half-shadow. Kalen didn't blink. "What do you want?" The other masked figures stepped forward, slowly, deliberately. "We've come to see whether you are one of us, or if you are still pretending to be something else." Chapter 9. Trial of Masks. The center figure extended a hand. A mask materialized in his palm, silver, simple, humming with a power Kalen couldn't name. "Put it on!" Kalen's vision blurred. Alert. Eclipse system interference detected. Shadow protocol inverted. Bloom mark stabilizing. Unknown mask signature detected. "If you are worthy," the figure said, "it will reveal you. If not, it will consume you." Kalen looked at the mask. His fingers closed around it, and he placed it over his face. Chapter 9. Revelation. He stood inside a hallway made of voices. Each brick whispered a name, his but not his, versions of Kalen Vey who had taken different paths, ones who'd died in the spiral vault, ones who'd burned Lyra's world, ones who'd killed the eclipse. A mirror rose from the floor. In it, he saw himself. Not as he was, but as he could become. Eyes black as void, cape of shadow root, a crown of petals and teeth. And behind him, 9 realms burned. He screamed and tore the mask off. Chapter 9. Aftermath. Kalen dropped the silver mask, chest heaving. The lead masked one tilted his head. "You resisted." Kalen stood straighter. "I chose. That wasn't me." "No," the man said, "but it could be." They turned. "You've passed the first mask." Kalen scowled. "There are more?" "There are 7. "Why?" "To become what you already are." Then they vanished into the mist. Kalen collapsed beside Lyra as she stirred. "You're still here," she said weakly. "I almost wasn't." He looked at the empty space where the masked ones had stood. And for the first time since this all began, Kalen feared himself more than anything else. Whisperforge Studios present The Mask That Whispers. Chapter 10. The Sovereign Signal. They moved under a bruised sky. Kalen carried Lyra across the ridgeline, where the bloom met the broken, and the wind stopped singing. The root core was dead. The spiral vault had cracked open. The bone engine guild had tasted defeat. And now, something else was stirring. Kalen could feel it through his bones. A signal. Low, deep, alive. Not a sound, a summons. Chapter 10. The Dreaming Crater. They arrived at dawn, or what passed for it in the Scarlands. A crater bloomed in the earth like an eye socket gouged into the land. Inside it, a ruin, floating architecture, crystalline bones, chains made of fractured light looping across the sky. And at its heart, a throne made from starlight and forgotten code. It pulsed once. Kalen dropped to one knee. System alert. Primal eclipse signal detected. Origin unknown. Designation sovereign root node. Memory echoes 73% unstable. Ego integrity threat high. Lyra stirred. She looked toward the crater and began to cry. Kalen held her close. "What is it?" he whispered. She answered in a voice that didn't sound like hers. A king who never died. Chapter 10. The Whispering Light. Kalen stepped into the crater. Reality bent. The moment his foot crossed the boundary, time rewound, then surged forward, then froze. Visions danced across his eyes. Himself, standing atop the 9 realms. Himself, broken and buried beneath them. A voice hummed in the air like a dying star. "You are the crown. You are the fracture. You are the echo and the erasure." Kalen fell to his knees. Ego fracture, phase 2. Mask synchronization, 61%. Sovereign resonance unlocked. Trait gained. Temporal drift. Phase walk for 1.6 seconds. Corruption, 11%. A shadow stood before him. Not flesh, not machine. An impression. A man without name. Crown of thorns. Mask of nothing. He didn't speak. He simply watched. And in that gaze, Kalen saw what was coming. War. Realms falling. Masks worn by monsters and heroes alike. And at the center of it all, him. Chapter 10. Fractured Loyalties. Kalen left the crater changed. Lyra stood waiting. "What did you see?" she asked. "Everything," Kalen said softly. She nodded. "Then you understand why you can't trust any of them." He looked to the sky, where a spiral of starlight slowly formed. The signal was now everywhere, and others would come. The tribunal, the masked ones, the spiral ministry, the blooming kin, even the bone engine guild. And none of them wanted peace. They wanted control. Kalen flexed his fingers. A sliver of the mask gleamed beneath his skin. He turned to Lyra. "Then we'll burn our own path through the realms."